Good morning. Good morning. Today we look at Isaiah 23, 24, and 25. And chapter 23 begins with an oracle concerning Tyre. And, Tyre and Sidon, there were two towns, that was the furthest north journey that Jesus ever went, was up to the area of Tyre and Sidon. And while he was there, there was one Syrophoenician woman that came to him. And so here, in this, it begins, wail, O ships of Tarshish, for your fortress is destroyed. So Tyre, this town, this important city of commerce, and it was, again, an important city of commerce in Jesus' day. But you will be destroyed. Be still, inhabitants of the coast. Your messengers crossed the sea. They were in the mighty waters. Your revenue. Be ashamed, O Sidon, for the sea has spoken. So these two cities of great commerce, of great importance to the area, the prophet Isaiah is saying, you're going to be laid to waste. There won't be anything left. When a report comes to Egypt, they will be in anguish over the report about Tyre. And it says, is this your exultant city whose origin is from old? I mean, Tyre has been an important city of commerce, it's forever. And even, later on, it is still an important area of commerce and trade in the world. But, it's going to be done. Verse 8 says, who has planned this against Tyre, the bestower of crowns? Whose merchants were princes? Whose traders? The Lord of hosts has planned it. Again, God is at work. God is going to do this, to defile the pride of the glory, to shame the honored. It's going to bring the mighty down, and just, they're not going to be able to enjoy their, it says in verse 12, you will exalt no longer. You're going to be brought low. You're going to be taught a lesson. Verse 13, look at the land of the Chaldeans. This is the people. It wasn't Assyria, And then again, wail, O ships of Tyrus, for your fortress will be destroyed. In verse 15, from that day, Tyre will be forgotten for 70 years, the lifetime of a king. Tyre is going to be wiped out. It's going to be for a while. It will be forgotten. Well, maybe not forgotten, but it'll be, you remember when. And then in verse 17, at the end of 70 years, the Lord will visit Tyre, and she will return to its trade. So 70 years, God is going to bring this punishment upon this important commerce city, Tyre and Sidon. Sidon doesn't escape either here. In chapter 24, it continues on. The Lord is about to lay waste to the earth and make it desolate, and he will do so with the people as with the priest, as the slave as the master, the maid with her mistress, the buyer with the seller. Nobody's going to escape. This devastation, this destruction is going to impact everybody. And, think about just, we had the dock workers were on strike for 3 days. Well, they got it settled. But, think of everything that comes in to the United States, on ships that these dock workers have to unload. They have the power really to cripple, our commerce. And in those 3 days' time, the realization was there that, this is important. We have to have this trade, and because it would affect everybody and everything in the United States. And of course, there were, the things that are made in the USA, of course, don't come in on the docks. But, we don't make everything here. Everything isn't available, from being made in the United States. And it's a shame that we have to import as much as we do. I really believe that. But the commerce is such an important thing. And think about our area. If it weren't for trucks and ships and trains to haul our soybeans, our wheat, our flax, our canola to processing plants, and to move the oil and the coal that are, without commerce, without being able to transport things, to think about having to rely completely on what you could grow and what you could make on your own. And, you know, in the little bit that you may be able to get into stores. I mean, I think back to the time of the settling of the United States, you know, and the hardships and the shortages of things. And just earlier this summer, you know, I was just really happy to be able to buy fresh cherries. Well, cherries are one of those things that they just can't produce them all year long, or they can't keep them, you know, as fresh to sell. And so, you know, there are just certain times of the year that you can get some of those things. But there is so much that, I mean, we can get virtually year round now. You know, some of the fruits and the vegetables that, you know, used to be real short supply. And the only way to get it was to buy them in cans or to can yourself. But anyway, at the end of 70 years, I will visit Tyre and it will regain its glory. So 70 years, it's going to be punished and no one is going to escape from this. It's going to affect every person from the most important person to the very least person. Not that there is anybody that is least, you know, we all have importance. Verse 4 of chapter 24, the earth dries up and withers, the world languishes and withers, and the heavens languish together. The earth lies polluted. You know, it's just, man, this is a horrible picture, a horrible prophecy to hear. And since it was so devastating, I mean, it was hard to be able to hear it and to believe it, you know. In verse 8, the mirth of the timbrels is stilled, the noise of the jubilant has ceased. Verse 11, second part, all joy has reached its eventide. There is no more gladness on earth, no joy. And think about that, a life with no joy. And you know, we all know people that just always look on the negative side of things. And you wonder, well, how can you exist that way without having some joy in your life? You know, and it's just the joy, the gladness, the uplifting of our spirits. And that's, you know, Christmas time we sing joy to the world. We sing as with gladness, men of old. You know, it's just, you know, these things that give us hope, give us an outlook for a future. You know, but here, no joy. Verse 12, desolation is left in the city and the gates are battered into ruins. For thus it shall be among the earth. You know, oofta. Terrible, terrible thing to hear. But, verse 14, we have a change. They lift up their voices. They sing for joy. They shout from the west over the majesty of the Lord. You know, so here, you know, this remnant of Israel is still there. And God's blessing will come. And they hear that and they see that. And this remnant of Israel is seeing that in the desolation and the destruction that God is bringing to the oppressors, that there is hope for the Israelites. And there is always hope for us as well. And then 17, again, we go back to that terror and pit of the snare are upon us, O inhabitant of the earth. Whoever flees the sound of terror will fall into the pit. So we have that just a couple verses of joy, of expectation. And then back to ugliness, the ugliness of the earth is already broken in verse 19. The earth is torn asunder. It violently shakes, staggers like a drunkard. I mean, it's just, you know, the devastation of the Lord has impacted the earth greatly. And then chapter 25, O Lord, you are my God. I will exalt you. I will praise you. And then starting at verse 6, beautiful. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will make for a people a feast of rich food. You know, a feast of well-aged wines, of rich food filled with marrow, of well-aged wine strains clear. And he will destroy on this mountain the cast that is. You know, so here, look at the joy, look at the hope, look at the promise. And this is what's so important, is again, that promise. It's always there. And, you know, so verses 6 through 9, verse 10 actually, for the hand of the Lord will rest on the mountain. What a message of hope and joy for the future. And that's what God would have for us, a message of hope and joy, a promise that we would be able to live life with a positive outlook on life. And that makes such a difference in who we are, to have a positive outlook on life.